Good morning. Welcome to Harvest Moon Farm. My name is Mickey, if this is your first time visiting my channel. And today we are going to be making some Halloween goodies. So today is Sunday the 26th, so Halloween is less than a week away. So I've got a stack of goodies here that we're going to make. We're going to do some Monster Eye brownie bites, some gooey monster cookies, zombie brain brownie bites, and a chocolate sea salt caramel tart, some vampire bread, and if we have time we're going to do some popcorn balls. So let me get my apron, get my tea, and we'll get started. Okay, as I said, today we're going to focus on Halloween goodies, and a lot of these recipes, I shouldn't say a lot of them, a few of these recipes use a boxed mix as a starting point. So I am using my favorite brownie mix. We're starting with our Monster Eye brownie bites, and we are not following the recipe on the package, we're following the recipe in this recipe that I found. So we're going to start with our brownie mix. First we're going to go ahead and preheat our oven to 350. And you can use whatever brownie mix you want, whatever your favorite one is. Or if you have one that you make yourself that you like, you can use that one as well. We're going to add 2 eggs to our mix. We're going to add to this 2/3 of a cup of oil. You can use whatever mild tasting oil that you like. I'm just using regular vegetable oil. Then we want just enough water to make this a good consistency. So we're going to start with about 1/4 of a cup. And then we'll mix this up and see what we think about the consistency. And I'm just going to mix my batter up with a fork. And I think that amount of water is going to be perfect. So these are a nice consistency now, normal brownie consistency. Just going to make sure I don't have anything dry in the bottom of my bowl. Nope, I've got them all. These are supposed to be mini muffins, but my mini muffin pans, I have never been able to get brownie mix out of them without tearing them up. So I do have some silicone mini muffin pans coming today, but they are not here yet. So we are going to start this batch. We're just going to make them full-size brownies. I'm going to use a silicone holder, and we're going to fill these up about 2/3 of the way. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to use my large scoop, my large cookie scoop, and see if this is about the right amount of dough, which, oh yes, it is. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead and just fill all these muffin pans, or all these muffin cups, I guess I should say. And I only have one regular size muffin pan, and I only have 12 of these silicone cups anyway, so I can only do one pan at a time. If we have more batter, we'll just have to make it in a second, in a second batch, and that is completely fine. So if you guys have not been on my channel before or were not aware, I live in the Kansas City area. Whoa. I live in the Kansas City area, and I've been complaining about the unseasonably warm weather for several weeks. It finally cooled down, but we went straight from needing our AC to needing our heat. So that is not what I wanted. And I'm going to scoop this off with my finger so we don't have brownie mix cooked onto the pan. I probably have enough batter left to make about 3 more. We're letting the oven preheat to 350 right now. Once it's ready, we'll go ahead and put that in, and we're gonna bake these about 15 to 18 minutes, and we will check them and make sure they're done before we take them out of the oven. I realized that I could not find any of my food coloring. I did buy a few items, but I forgot to buy some of the others, so I went to the store this morning and I bought a couple boxes of some gel food colors. I'm sure I have probably all of these colors in my big container, but I am not sure where it's at the moment. It's in one of my storage units, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know which one. So it never hurts to have more food coloring. And you do want to use gel when you are doing these kinds of projects, because we're using a butter-based frosting in some of these, and the liquid food coloring just doesn't really do the best. All right, our oven is preheated, so we're going to go ahead and stick these in. And I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes. And if we need more time, then we'll add it at the end. While those are baking, we're going to go ahead and start on the dough for our gooey monster cookies. We want to start with a half a cup of softened butter, which that would be 1 stick. We want to add to this an 8-ounce brick of softened cream cheese. We're going to add 1 whole egg. And about a half a teaspoon of vanilla, which I'm going to have to refill my vanilla container. And then we just want to mix this until it's nice and smooth. Okay, and then the other ingredient for this is just a regular box mix of white cake mix. We're gonna just add this into our butter and cream cheese mixture and just mix that in. Yeah, this definitely would have been easier to do in my stand mixer, but that's okay. This worked. And we only made a little bit of a mess. Okay. We're going to divide our dough now into thirds. You can divide it into as many different bowls as you like. I'm just going to do 3. And we're going to color these with neon food coloring to make our different cookies. All right, I think that's approximately even. So I think I'm going to do orange, pink, and purple. I'm just going to put a couple drops in and stir it up. And I'll add more if we need to get to the color that we want. This dough is pretty hard to stir. One other thing about the gel is that you don't have to use as much to get the color that you want, so it will not affect the flavor or the consistency of your whatever you're coloring. In our case, cookie dough or frosting or whatever it is that you're coloring. Give us another drop or two. Alrighty, let's color up or mix up our pink one now and see how that one looks. It's just really hard to mix this this cookie dough batter, whatever you want to call it, is really stiff. And I'm actually not going to worry about getting it perfectly mixed, since we want these to have kind of a monster appearance, I guess. Got a few more seconds on our brownies and we'll see if those are done. Oh, they are not even close to being done. All right, I'm gonna give them another 8 minutes. So I've got some powdered sugar in a bowl. What we're gonna do is scoop up our dough. I'm gonna use my small cookie scoop, and we're gonna roll those in a ball and roll it in our powdered sugar. Oh, I'm going to cover them pretty good. This is going to give them kind of a crackly appearance as they bake, which will help with our monster theme. All right, there's our first pan. I'm just going to set it over here. Whoa! Just going to set it to the side while we fill the second pan, the second tray. Okay, so we got almost 18 of the pink ones. So we'll go ahead and roll out as many of these orange ones as I can get on this tray. And then we'll wait for our brownies to finish baking so that we can get these cookies in the oven. We've got another minute or so on the brownies, so we'll see how those turn out. So I realized I skipped a step in this cookie recipe. We're supposed to chill our dough, which I did not do, but that's okay. It's still rolled out fine. All right, let's check these again and see. Oh, nope, they are not done. We want the dough to still be gooey, but not pull liquid out, and I pulled liquid out. So let's do another 6 minutes. Let's check these one more time. There we go. All right, I'm going to take these out and set them on a cooling rack over here. And then we're going to go ahead and get our monster cookies in the oven. We're going to let these bake about 10 to 12 minutes. While our brownies are cooling, I want to do this while they're still hot. I'm going to take my next size down cookie scoop and I'm going to make an indentation like that in the middle of the brownies. And you can use whatever you have to make these, or to make this indentation. You can use a spoon, you can do like I'm doing and use a different size scoop. You can use a measuring spoon, whatever works for the size brownie cups that you made. These were supposed to be, as I said, minis, but I don't have my mini cupcake pans yet. So we'll let these cool like this now for about 15 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and take them out of the silicone cupcake holder. Okie doke. Oh my gosh, these smell good. So these are cute little cookies. I'm going to set these on a cooling rack over here. And while these are still warm, we are going to put some candy eyeballs in here. So I've got 2 different sizes of eyeballs. I've got these great big ones, and then I've got some smaller ones. And you want to make sure you do this while the cookies are warm so that you can kind of smash these in there. Really, they're better if you can put more than one eyeball, but I did not buy enough of these little candy eyeballs. So they'll get one or two and it will still be cute. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and just take these off the tray, put them on the cooling rack to let them finish cooling, and then we'll go ahead and scoop up the rest of our cookie dough. All right, set those over there out of the way, and we'll go ahead and finish scooping up our orange dough. And since these didn't spread very much, I can make sure that I get all of the rest of the cookie dough on these two trays. Go ahead and start in on our purple. And I didn't clean off this scoop between colors because since they're monster cookies, I figured it would be cute if they kind of just blended together. Those first few cookies from the old color to the new color. And you probably could actually do multicolored cookies if you wanted, just by scooping up a little bit of the different colors in the same scoop. That would have been cute. I mean, all I have left is the purple now, so I can't do that, but that would be cute. Go ahead and just scoop all the rest of this dough together in one bowl, and then we'll scoop those out and we'll get whatever we get, which they will kind of be mixed, so that'll be kind of cute. Oh, oops, I can get one more cookie out of this last little bit of dough here. It'll be a little smaller, but that's okay. Oh, I'll just put it there. We'll go ahead and get this tray in the oven. Now, let's see if we can get these brownies out of these little muffin cups without tearing them up. Oh, yay, there we go. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and see how much of this, or how many I can get out of the rest of this dough, or this batter. Looks like maybe just two. Okay, so I put those last two in the oven with the cookies, and we'll go ahead and finish taking these out of the cups. All right, once we get all these out, we're just going to set them to the side, and we're going to let them cool completely, and then we'll do all the frosting and filling and decorating later, and we'll work on other things while all of this cools. This last batch of cookies is done. So we'll go ahead and get some eyeballs on these. Okay. So let those cool for a minute on this tray, and then I'll go ahead and transfer them to the cooling rack. The last couple of brownies are still in the oven. They've got about 7 to 8 more minutes, and then we'll get those out, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next recipe, which I think I forgot to say in the intro, but we are also making a pound cake that is orange and black swirl. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start on our pound cake now. So we need 3/4 of a cup of butter. That was 1/2 cup there, and the other 1/4 cup there. To our butter, we want to add 1 cup of granulated sugar, and we're going to mix this together until it's fluffy. Then we're going to add to that 2/3 of a cup of whole milk and 2 large eggs. Now we're going to mix this all together. Now we're going to add in 1 3/4 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I am not going to just mix that in a separate bowl. I'm just going to add it like this. And then to this first cup of flour, I'm going to go ahead and add our teaspoon of baking powder and our 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to add this in while it's mixing. Alright, I'm going to use my spatula to scrape down the beater and make sure we've got everything mixed in. Okay, and then I'm going to take kind of an overfull cup and put it in a separate bowl. And then we're going to color each of our halves of dough here, roughly half. So I'm going to color this first half orange. We'll mix that all in. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape out our orange dough into a separate bowl. Oh. I really wish I could find my other food coloring because the one I bought today does not get this orange as dark as I would like it. We'll put the plain batter back in here and then we're going to color it black. This looks more slate than black, but that's okay. It will work. We don't want it so black that it's coloring people's teeth and tongues. Okay, so now I have a loaf pan that I sprayed with some vegetable spray. And I'm going to put about half the orange on one side and about half the black on the other. And then I'm going to do the opposite with the rest of the batter. So I'll put the black on top of the orange. Then I'm going to put the rest of the orange over here on top of the black. And we're just going to kind of spread this out in the pan. Then I'm just going to take a butter knife and just kind of swirl it through the dough like that. And that's going to create a swirly pattern in our bread. This is going to go into a 350-degree oven for an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. So I've got it set for an hour, and we will check on it then and see if it needs more time. While our pound cake is baking, we're going to go ahead and start on our vampire bread. We're going to start by putting a cup of milk in a bowl. All right, we're going to add 1 egg yolk to that. And we're going to go ahead and whisk that egg yolk into our milk. And then we're going to microwave that milk and egg yolk for 30 seconds. We're going to set this to the side. And in our stand mixer, then we are going to whisk together 3 cups of flour. To our flour, we're going to add 2.5 tablespoons of sugar. We're going to add 2.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast. We're going to go ahead now and add our milk and egg to this mixture. We're going to add 2.5 tablespoons of butter and 2 teaspoons of salt. All right, so it took me a minute to understand these instructions, and I hope that I've got it right, because it kind of jumps around and I'm not really sure what it's saying. So we're going to divide our dough into 2 pieces, and we are going to color each piece with whatever color we want. And so in this case, we want to do red and black. So I'm going to put some black food coloring on one piece and red food coloring on the other piece. And then we're going to kind of mix that food coloring into our dough. I don't want to get too much of it on my hands because it does stain. Oh shoot. Alright, we're going to use the mixer to mix this food coloring in for us. So I'm going to put my red one in there and we'll see how this works. Alright, I'm not sure how well that worked. I'm going to try something different. So I'm going to get a hold of this dough with plastic bags over my fingers. And I'm going to do my best to kind of just work the color in. And actually, that kind of seemed to work. And I'm going to put I'm going to put the dough with the black food coloring in, and we're going to do the same thing. Alright. So here's our black. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to use the baggies again to kind of help me mix this in as much as I can. And it's not going to be solid, which in our case I think it's going to be fine because we want it to be kind of monsterish looking, I guess. Okay, so here we've got both of our bowls of dough. I'm going to cover these with a tea towel and we're going to let them rise. And this should take about an hour and a half. Okay, there's the timer for our pound cake. So let's check it and see if it's done. It smells like it might be done. Oh, it is. So here's how this looks on top. I'm going to set it on a cooling rack and we'll let it cool about 15 minutes and then we'll take it out of the pan. Now while that is cooling and our bread is rising, we're going to go ahead and work on our chocolate caramel tarts. I am going to go ahead and double this recipe. So we're going to start with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And I'm using a 1/2 cup measure here. We're going to add 2/3 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. And 1 cup of powdered sugar. To this, we're going to add 2 egg yolks, and 2 sticks of softened butter. And then we are just going to combine all of this until it's crumbly. So I realized I only added 1 stick of butter, so let me add the other stick and let that mix in. Okay, so I'm not sure how much of this dough I should be putting in each one of these little tartlet pans. So I have a bunch of these. These are actually bigger than what I thought I was ordering, but that's okay. So I'm going to try. I'm going to start with a little bit like a rounded scoop of my medium cookie scoop and see how that goes. We want to press this into our tart pan. Oh, I think that might be just about the perfect amount. We're going to go ahead and fill as many pans as it takes. I have quite a few more. So we're going to go ahead and fill these. However many it takes to use up all of our dough. Okay, more than what I've got open, so that's good. I'll go ahead and press these down and then I'll get some more opened and get those filled as well. I'll go ahead and start setting these filled and pressed ones on a cookie tray. And then we're going to use a fork to poke some holes in the bottom so that it stays flat when it bakes. So you want to kind of make sure that you are pressing up to the top of your, pressing up towards the top of your mold so that you get a full little tart shape. So I don't know if I said this already, but I thought I was ordering the little tiny ones when I ordered these. That'd be more of a bite size, but this is what I got, and so this is what we're using. You could also just make one single regular size tart if you would like. But since I am taking these to share with other people, I decided that these little tartlets would be a good way to do it. They look super cute on the recipe. Hopefully when I'm done, mine looks super cute as well. And if they don't, they'll taste good, and that's what's important. Now, what do I want to do with these last ones? All right, I might just leave this and we might just have to do a second round of everything once this first batch is all done. So now what we're going to do is take a fork and we're going to very carefully prick the bottom of these just so they don't bubble up too much when they bake. All right, now we are gonna put these in our 350-degree oven, and we're gonna bake those for about 15 minutes. I can't really tell if those are done. I'm gonna let them bake about 3 more minutes. Okay. I hope these are done. I don't know that I can really tell since they're chocolate. We are going to set them on some cooling racks and we're going to let them cool. Okay, so we're going to start on our caramel filling for our tarts. So I put 2 cups of sugar in a glass measuring cup, and I filled it with water and stirred it up and just let it sit. And then I did go ahead and put it in the microwave to finish melting it down, or dissolving it, I guess, into the water. So once our butter is completely melted in here, which I have 12 tablespoons of butter, then we're going to add our 2 cups of sugar that's been dissolved in water, and we'll let that cook to create our caramel sauce, or our caramel filling, I guess.
The reason that I put the sugar in water is because I have cane sugar, and it is really hard to get it to dissolve just by cooking it down because the grains are bigger than regular sugar.
All right, now that our butter's melted, I'm going to go ahead and pour my sugar water into the butter. And we're going to turn our heat up to medium-high, and we're going to let this cook. And it's going to take a little bit longer than it normally would because we want to cook out all this excess water. But that was the only way to get our sugar to melt or dissolve the way that we needed it to. Okay, while we wait for that sugar water to boil down, we're going to go ahead and work on our bread. It finally has risen as much as it was supposed to. It didn't really rise like I thought it was going to. I don't know if it's because of the oh my gosh, what am I trying to say? I don't know if it's because of the food coloring or what. But it took a really long time to rise, and it didn't rise as much as I thought it was going to. So I'm going to take both pieces of our dough and cut them in half. We're going to roll each piece out. We're going to kind of roll and stack. Oh, shoot. Now, part of this could be that I wasn't real clear on the instructions. Regardless, we will make it work. We want these to be approximately the same size. Let's see. And I actually think the fact that the food coloring didn't mix in completely is going to make it look really, really kind of cool. Now, what the instructions said to do is add some food coloring to each layer, but that's where I was confused, where I didn't know when we were supposed to add our food coloring in. So I'm just going to leave it like this. So I'm going to roll this out, this whole stack out a little more. I can get it to stay together while I roll it. It's fighting me a little bit. All right, and now we are going to roll our dough. Got a regular 9x5 bread pan here. We're going to put our dough in there. We're going to cover it back up. Actually, I'm going to spray the top just a little bit because it was kind of dry. And then we're going to let this sit about an hour, and it should raise to double. So hopefully it will rise that much this time. So all of the water seems to have evaporated now, been cooked out, and we're left with just our sugar and butter. So we're going to just let that keep cooking until it starts to brown into a nice caramely color, and then we'll take this off the heat and we'll add our cream to it. But right now we're just going to let it keep cooking. We are going to remove this from the heat now, and I'm going to whisk in a cup of heavy cream. So we're going to let this cool, and then we are going to add it to our chocolate tarts. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start making up our frosting for the brownies that we made earlier today. So we're going to use 1 cup of butter. I have it slightly softened, but I didn't realize I was going to need this much butter, and so I wasn't prepared. So I'm going to turn this mixer on, and we're just going to let this run a few minutes until our butter is nice and creamy and fluffy. To our butter, we're going to add 3 cups of powdered sugar, 1 cup at a time. And we're going to mix that until it's all mixed in. We need a teaspoon of vanilla, but before we do, I need to refill my vanilla container. All right, we'll go ahead and put a teaspoon in here. And then we'll just let this mix. Oh, that's pretty thick. We might need to add some more cream. Now we're going to add our food coloring, which we're going to use green for this. So we'll mix that in and see if we like the color. I kind of like that color actually, but it's not really very well mixed. So we'll add a little more. Go ahead and mix that in. Oh yes, I think that's beautiful for what we're going to use it for. Now, we are not quite ready to use it. I'm still waiting on a couple of things to be delivered this afternoon. So I'm gonna, oh, it didn't mix very well. Darn it. We'll give this a stir with our spatula. Make sure that there's no uncolored frosting in here. And then I'm going to put it in this bowl and we'll keep it there so it will stay soft until we're ready to put it on our brownies. I think I might need to recalibrate or reset, I'm not sure what the word is, my mixing bowl here so that my beaters are getting all the way to the bottom. I don't think that they're quite reaching. So I don't know if you can see, but the green isn't completely mixed in. I've still got some, just the white or kind of butter colored frosting. This is a lot of frosting for no more brownies than we have. That's okay because I can always use it for something else. Even this alarming green color, it will be fine. Okay, I'm gonna set this here. I'm not gonna refrigerate this right this minute because the other things I ordered should be here in the next hour or so. If it gets to be longer than that, I'll go ahead and put that in the refrigerator since it does have butter in it. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start making our popcorn for our popcorn balls. That wasn't quite full, so put a little more in there. I wasn't going to do these, but my kids specifically asked for them, so I will do them. I've never understood why they don't make these with an on-off switch instead of just having to plug them in and unplug them. So I'm going to make a few batches so that I have plenty of popcorn balls for my kids and some that I can take to work. What I'm doing here though, I'm scooping out the popcorn. I'm going to try and make sure that I don't end up with any of the unpopped kernels in the batch that I'm using, in the popcorn that I'm using to make the popcorn balls. I don't want anybody to break a tooth. Because you know who it'll be. It'll be me. It won't be one of the kids. One year I made popcorn balls for everybody at my mother-in-law's, the kids, well, my siblings, my husband's siblings, grandkids that were around at the time. I don't think we had any great grandkids. So I remember as a kid watching my mom and my aunt, oops, just threw popcorn on the floor, watching, and probably my grandma making popcorn balls for, I don't know if it was Halloween or Christmas. It was probably Christmas actually. But then they used they used corn syrup as the binding agent, and I remember watching them with their buttered hands trying to make the popcorn balls without burning their fingers off. And I have made them with corn syrup before. It's been a long time, but my mother-in-law, my ex-mother-in-law, makes them with marshmallows, and the kids loved it because they were a softer popcorn ball. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make, oh, that's hot. I'm going to go ahead and make one more, maybe kind of a half batch. So I remember when I made popcorn balls that year for everybody on my husband's side, I thought I burned up our popcorn popper, and I sent him off to buy me a new one, and by the time he got back it had cooled down and it kept popping. So I did burn one up though, but I think he took that one. I really am not sure what happened. Things were such a mess at the end trying to figure out how to get everything out of our house before the new people were ready to move in. Okay, there we go. Our popcorn is ready. So let the popper cool, and then I'll go ahead and clean it up and put it away. Well, yeah, this is probably plenty. I'll go ahead and put it away. And this is too full to get the lid on without smashing popcorn, so I'm just going to put some plastic wrap over it, because I am not going to get to the rest of this until tomorrow. I had a migraine yesterday and it was kind of still poking at me a little bit earlier today, so I'm not going to get everything done. So I'll finish everything else when I get home from work tomorrow. I'm going to fill one of these and see if our caramel is cool enough. Ooh, I don't think it is. But we're going to fill one. Oops. So I thought that medium size scoop was going to be the right size, but I think the large one is better. Oh goodness, I'm dripping caramel everywhere. So I'm going to do a little bit of flaked sea salt over each one of these. And then I need to find a place to let this batch set up. And here are the rest of our tarts. So we'll go ahead and fill those as well. Actually, the medium scoop might have been the right size. That's okay. Doesn't really matter. I can see though that I didn't allow for enough, I don't know what the word is, retraction when they baked, because I don't have the edges all the way up to the edge of my pan, my little tart pans. Okay, well, that was pretty much perfect. So we'll let both of those batches, oh, I need to put the salt on these. We'll let both of these trays set. And then we're going to do a little chocolate ganache dripping in the middle. But I'm going to let the caramel set up first. So our vampire bread is just about doubled. So I am preheating my oven to 375. So here's the bread. Just keep that covered up until the oven's preheated. All right, our oven is preheated to 375. We're going to put our bread in there and we're going to let it bake for about 30 minutes. Alrighty, let's see if our bread is done. I'm going to set this in here. Got my dinner preheating, or got my dinner reheating. I am going to take a little bit of butter and just run it over the top of this bread. Give it a nice shine to it. Oops, I'm losing part of it. All right, I'm gonna let this cool right here for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll dump it out of the pan and let it finish cooling on this cooling rack. So I got my silicone mini muffin pans. We're gonna go ahead and start on our brownie bites. For this batch, we're just going to follow the instructions on the box. All right, I'm just gonna use my small cookie scoop, and we're gonna fill each one of these little mini muffin cups with our brownie mix. Whoa. And the small scoop is the perfect size for what we want in our cups. These are going to be our zombie brain brownie bites. All right, I forgot these need to go on a tray so they don't flop around. Oops. All right, now we'll go ahead and fill this second pan. Alrighty, your brownies are going to go in the oven now for 15 minutes. Alright, we're going to go back to our candy, or our monster eyeball brownies. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my medium scoop. I'm going to scoop out 1 scoop of frosting, and I'm going to put it right in that little indentation that we made. All right, and then I have some candy eyeballs. The color is only on the plastic. So we're just gonna stick that in there like that. Smash the eyeball down into the frosting. Oh, they look really cute. Let's see. Is that all the purples we had? I guess so. All right. And pink. Look how cute those are. Oh my goodness. Will this fit? Oh, it does. Yay. I'll go ahead and cover those up so they stay fresh. So we're gonna pop our tarts out of the pans now. Hopefully I can get these without tearing them up. Yay. So these are made just like a regular size tart pan. It's got the little removable bottom. Get all these out of the pans. I've got the small tray, the partial tray here is the one that I picked up first. So we're gonna get these out. So brownie bites are done. I just took those out of the oven. And then I've got just some chocolate chips melted with a little bit of cream, and I'm just putting a little blob right in the middle of our, or on the side of our tarts. I was trying to draw a little spider on there, but I cannot find my small pastry tips, so we'll just do this. All right, so here's the other pan. We'll go ahead and get them out of the little tart pans. All right, I have to say I'm pretty relieved that these came apart as easy as they did. I was afraid I would break them all trying to get them out of these little pans. I wish I knew where all my stuff was, but that's okay. So all I did was just add some cream to the top of these chocolate chips and put them in the microwave for about 20 seconds. And then I'm just going to stir it up until this chocolate is all melted together and smooth. And then we'll go ahead and drip our little blobs in the middle of our tarts. And I've got more chocolate than I needed. That's okay, I've got a million chocolate chips. Okay, now I have here a little mold that's brain shaped. So there's 15 in this mold. Okay, so I've got some green candy melts here. I put those in my glass measuring dish. Added a little bit of cream, and we're going to start melting these. So we just want to slowly melt these 20 or 30 seconds at a time because it's easy to burn them. We are just going to let this sit now. We're going to take the rest of our candy wafers, our little candy melts. Alright, so now what we're going to do is pour just a little drip of this in each one of our brain cavities. That sounds disgusting. And what we want to do is just take a brush, and we were supposed to use a paintbrush. Of course, I do not have one. But we're just going to paint this on the inside of this little brain mold cavity, making sure that we don't have any open pieces with no candy melt on it. Because really, we're not trying to get an entire brain mold here. We really just want like an outline, or like a kind of a cup. Because we are going to fill this with the thinner candy melt. I mean, I'm doing a really great job of getting chocolate everywhere, or this is not really chocolate, this vanilla candy melt. Alright, I'm going to stick this in my freezer now, and we're going to leave it for 10 minutes. Okay, so I painted the inside of these little brain molds. Now hopefully I can get them out without breaking them. Ah, come on. Oh, there we go. Oh my gosh, how cute. Alright, so we're going to pop these out. And then I'm going to paint the inside of the mold again. I realized that I wasn't supposed to put cream in that original mixture, and it wasn't going to set up. So I started over, and I did not put cream in it. So it's thicker and it sets up, which is what we want. And I think I have 44, 42, 46, I don't know, some number like that of brownie bites. So, and this mold makes 15, so I need to do 2 for sure, and then we'll see how many I need to do in the last batch. Alright, so we'll go ahead and fill these molds again. Oh my gosh, why are they mowing today? Okay, they normally do our lawn care on Tuesdays, which is one of my work from home days, and I'm always frustrated because it's so loud. Now it's Monday after work and they're mowing. Oh my goodness. And I understand it needs to be done, but I get so sick of that noise. If I had a regular size paintbrush, like a little kid's paintbrush, like a paint by numbers kind of brush. This would probably be easier than using this, but I do not have one, or at least I don't have one that I can find. Okay, I've got the last set of little brain molds in the freezer. And so now I'm gonna try this. So I've got a little, this was brand new, I just took it out of the package. I'm gonna use this to suck up some of this green candy melt mixture with the cream. And then I'm going to squeeze some into my brownie. And then we're gonna we need to set a mold on top of it, a brain mold. Oh. So they look like that. And we're just gonna go fill all these up. And then I will make sure we've got something that will hold the little brain molds on there. And then when you bite into these, this liquid is going to come out. Let's see. So I'm glad I thought of this because I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. But this actually is working out really well. So I'm just going to keep going through all these little brownie bites and filling them with this green candy melt mixture. And then I'll have plenty left to be able to use it as glue basically for our little brains. I think I'll use this little guy to paint the tops, and then I can put, a brain mold on, except I broke that one. Darn it. Okay, that's actually not too bad. Out of 45, only one of them just completely broke. And I've got just about exactly enough of the candy melt with the cream to top each one of these little brownies to hold the brains on. So that's pretty good. All right, these are broken brains, but they can go on there. Okay, now the only thing I have left is the popcorn balls. So I'm gonna clean up some of this mess, get it organized, and then start working on those. Okie dokie. The only thing we have left now is our popcorn balls. So I'm gonna make this in the microwave. You can make it on the stovetop if you like. We want to start with about 5 tablespoons of butter. Okay, so I've got my 5 tablespoons of butter and 10 ounces of mini marshmallows. I bought the 16-ounce bag, and I just pulled out approximately 2/3 of it. And then we are going to food color these different groups. It looks like I have enough to do 3 batches. I've measured out about 16 cups of popcorn here. So the first one I'm going to do is orange. So I'm just going to drop some food coloring in there. We're going to put this in the microwave and we're going to cook it about 2 or 3 minutes until everything is melted. I've sprayed my wooden spoon with some spray so that it doesn't stick so much to the popcorn or to the marshmallows when I'm stirring. So I set that for 2.5 minutes and then I'm going to check it about 2 and see if we need the extra 30 seconds to a minute. And that bowl is so big in this microwave that it won't turn. The microwave that I had of my own at my last house, that big bowl would spin in there. It was a pretty big microwave. This one is not so big. But it's okay, it still does the trick. I hope that these marshmallows that I bought are not old, because old marshmallows do not melt. And I was struggling a little bit just now, so hopefully these will actually melt like they're supposed to. Okay, I'm going to be very upset if these are old marshmallows that I just bought a few days ago at the store. They are not melting. At least they're not melting like they should. Oh. All right, I'm gonna try these and see if it works. We've got plenty of popcorn. So we're gonna add about half a teaspoon or so. That was probably more than half a teaspoon of vanilla. We're gonna add just a pinch of salt. And add just a pinch of salt. I'm gonna try stirring this. Oh, it's doing a little, yeah, I don't know. This is gonna really frustrate me. So I don't know if this is gonna stir in or not. Oh, I'm throwing popcorn everywhere. Alright, it's kind of working. I'm going to spray my hands, whoops, with spray so that I don't burn the heck out of myself, and see if I can mix it by hand. Ow. It's kind of working. Not as well as it should. So I'm going to shape these into balls, and I'm going to set them on here, and then we're going to wrap them in plastic wrap. I'm trying to remember if I'm supposed to wrap them as I make them. I don't remember, so we'll just see how it goes. Oh, this actually, I think it's working. I do think these marshmallows are old though, which is a little frustrating. As I said, because I did just buy them Friday? Saturday? No, not Saturday. Friday, I think. And today is Monday. So if they're old, that's very disappointing. And I don't usually have problems at the store. So maybe it was just a bad batch. Who knows? Okay, they're working, so that's all that matters. So as you shape these, uh-oh, I should have sprayed my hands again. Ah! Shoot. As you shape these, you want to make sure that you don't squeeze them too hard together, because then as they set, they will end up kind of hard. And just remember to kind of spray your hands or use butter, whatever works for you. Just do that as often as you need to while you're shaping these, so that you can get them to stay together without having your fingers be part of the popcorn ball. All right, now because I was fighting with the marshmallows, it's not really distributed as evenly as it should be, because as you can see, this one is sticking to my hand. So those didn't turn out too bad. I'm going to go ahead and rinse out my bowl, since I used coloring in them, because I don't want this batch to color the next batch. Actually, I wonder if I need to use a smaller bowl so it will turn. So there's our 5 tablespoons of butter. And the reason I think these are old too is because see how they're all stuck together? Brand new marshmallows should not be stuck together like that. All right, and this batch we're gonna make purple. So we'll put some purple in there. And actually, because I don't have a ton of room here, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap these before I start that next batch. And once they're in the plastic, you can kind of shape it more into a ball if you need to. And I don't know if you guys have this experience, but when you have plastic wrap, it sticks to everything except what you want it to. And the first batch I measured out a full 16 cups. This one I'm just gonna kind of eyeball the amount of popcorn that was in the bowl last time. Call it good. Okay, well, if I didn't have the rest of this popcorn already popped, I wouldn't bother, but we'll go ahead and do this last batch. All right, so I remembered the salt in that one. Go ahead and put a little bit of vanilla in here. We'll see what we get. Ooh, that's very green. Not melting the way that it should, but it's, I don't know if it's just because of the way I did this one or what, but it's still not melted, but it's gonna, I think, work a little better. Whoa. Okay, here we go. Oh, don't know why I put that clear over there. Green batch. I don't think I had as much popcorn. Okay, I think I need to let this one sit for a minute since there's more marshmallow than the other ones. Okay, we are finally done. So I have a couple bowls to wash. I need to run the dishwasher one last time. I need to sweep up all the popcorn and the candy melt and everything that's on my floor. Then we'll be good in here. But these are all done. This is gonna be a long video. I should have divided it into, I'm sorry. But, so we've got our chocolate caramel tarts, our popcorn balls, our monster eyeball cookies, our eyeball brownies, our zombie brains, the orange and black pound cake, and the red and black bread. That is a lot of stuff. I hope that this gave you a little inspiration for creating your own Halloween treats, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Bye guys. Happy Halloween.